Hey, welcome back to Milton Daily Homes. Chuck here. We have a list of 14 properties today. There's a couple more, but they're on the Oakville Milton board, and I just kind of discarded them. Nothing super fancy. There's a townhouse on Bennett. There's kind of a business for sale. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Room by room review. This book is something that we're doing a lot of in the fall season because there's people that are planning on selling their home next year. So in this book, and you can request that somewhere on the site here. It'd be under offers if you're looking at it on a phone, and if you're looking at it on a desktop, it would be on that side. So anyway, we go through, for example, how to make your bathroom sparkle. What do you do with your kitchens? What do you do with your laundry room? Look at these beautiful bedrooms. And we have a list of the highest return improvements. And then the biggest thing, and I don't mind sending this to you. If you want it, let me know. But I think the key to this whole book is this section right here. And if you look at the top, there's really three categories that you want to sort everything into. So the book will give you a general overview of some of the successful things that we've seen other people do. But the key is with your house is to say, what are the things you absolutely must do? What are the things you could do? And what are the things that you should not do? Because there's definitely a list there. And I would say that that's even more important than the to-dos is the not to-dos. So and I measure everything through either return on investment, through time, or through money. So if you spend $1 on the must-do, you're going to multiply your money for sure, and you're going to make life way easier to sell. The could-do would be like, well, it'll probably sell faster, but you're maybe more of a break-even financially. And then the don't-dos are things that would not be a good use of your time or money. So anyway, if you want this book, just fill in the form, and then we'll touch base with you, and we'll just kind of say, hey, here's a copy, but do you want us to come over and give you some personalized advice? Let's get started with these 14 homes. Okay, so we don't have a huge amount of stuff to talk about today. I'm going to talk about this one on Woodward and give you a bit of a sense of why I believe that Milton properties are not a fantastic investment. So anyway, $499 for this one here. It's got a carport. It's on Woodward, 50 by 132 foot property. Decent renos. I definitely think it has a chance of selling for more than $500,000. Not a lot of shots of the basement, probably because there's a tenant in there, and it's certainly tough in most cases to get some decent shots. So the driveway's there. It's a detached home. The cap right now in the Milton rules is that it can't be more than 700 square feet for a basement suite. I don't know if that's the case in this one here too. We can get into the whole legality conversation, but I want to get into the numbers, because let's assume, and this is absolutely true, that not everybody rents out legal suites. But anyway, let's look at the numbers. So I've got this little spreadsheet that I use, and I'm glad to share it with you. Here's the thing. So let's look through this one. Now, this property at $500,000, you figure, and again, I'm not picking on this home. I'm just saying in general, this is a common price range that investors look at. A lot of times investors are looking at single-family homes. So a townhouse for $500,000 that rents for $1,500. So we'll talk about that in just a second. So 2 units. I figure the basement, you probably get about $900. It's a 1-bedroom, and then you can get, for the 3-bedroom upstairs, maybe $1,400 or so. So that gives us a total of $2,300. Now the purchase price, if we assume you paid full price, you have 20% down plus 2% closing costs. It's $110,000. $100,000 down plus $10,000 closing costs, which means your mortgage is $400,000. Now the gross rents yearly give you, after a vacancy allowance, because prudent investors know that you're going to probably not get paid 1 in 20 months, either because the unit's vacant or because the tenant just doesn't pay you on average. Maybe once in 10 years you have a problem tenant that you maybe burn 4 or 5 months kind of thing, just trying to fight them and get them out. So the net revenue here, $26,000. Now your expenses, property taxes, $2,700. It's $2,629 in the listing. Insurance is probably about $1,000. $100 here or there is probably not going to change the numbers too much. Now, we usually budget about 1% of the value of the home, which is $5,000 for repairs and maintenance. So that includes routine painting, carpets. furnaces, roofs, windows. There's an economic age to almost everything in the home, and I think that some people underestimate this number, and this number I find can be the difference between winning and losing in most investments. So make sure you get a good home inspector. Make sure you have a good sense of the kind of maintenance that's required for the home. Now, that means your net income is $19,000. Your net income over the value gives your cap rate, which is basically your return on initial investment. So you're getting your initial investment back in, what's that? So almost 4%. You're getting that back in about 25 years. Now, the way the numbers read here, we have a 3% rate. Let's even just do like a 2.5, which is pretty aggressive. We know that rate is not going to be around forever. That's another thing that people are getting into trouble with investments, is they're putting the mortgage numbers at today, and then 2 or 3 years from now, when the rates are up, potentially maybe 5 years from now, if they are up, then now you've got a whole different ballgame, and a property that may have been making you a little bit of money is now losing money. So anyway, the cash flow on this one, when all the numbers spit out, is minus $165 a month. And so I look at this as you'd either have to drop your purchase price down, right? So you'd almost have to buy this one. So if I put in $400,000, so $400,000 with $2,300 in rent, at that point, it's $193 in the plus. Okay, so you almost kind of look and say, I'd almost have to spend $450,000 on this home for it to return $14 in cash flow back in my pocket. So that's the way to look at properties like this. The other thing with the 2 units is you're going to run into tenants sharing utility costs, and when things don't work out, you come in as a landlord and be the in-between. Now, there are a lot of properties and a lot of communities out there where you can find a purchase price of less, but the rents kind of stay at a similar rate, maybe a little less. So it's like what we see is if you go out to London, or you go out to Kingston, or you go further from the GTA, what we find is the values go down. The rents kind of go like this at a slower rate. So you go to Barrie, you find that you can buy a $300,000 townhouse and get enough rent that you can cover all your costs. Because to me, the most important thing with any investment is that number right there, cash flow positive. At that point, if it's making money on rent, I don't care if the value goes down by 50%, because I know over time it will come back up. But what I care about is this property not bleeding money and making me a little bit. I don't care. I don't need to make hundreds of dollars, but does it make me a little bit every single month? Okay, so again, I'm not picking on Woodward in particular. I'm just saying in general, Milton properties as investments are tough. Now, if you bought that property on Woodward and you were to live in the top, or even live in the bottom and then have the other part rented, that's a completely different story. And at that point, it becomes one of the cheapest options that you can find out there. So Thompson Road567. I don't find this very often, but this is one of the few models that I don't really know which model it is. I mean, we study these floor plans. We know them very well. I mean, I definitely know one thing. This property was rented at some point, guaranteed. You can tell that right away. It's funny. I look through the photos, and the one that stands out to me is that sort of that wooden toilet seat just jumps out in a sea of kind of grays and browns and whites. You have this kind of yellowish toilet seat that just jumps out. And I don't know what's in that backyard, but it's definitely not grass. Sometimes we refer to that as Mattamy grass because it never seems to grow really well. And the price for this one really depends on the model. And again, like I said, I don't even know which one it is, which is very weird because we're quite on top of that. Okay, so Gleasons, the next one up. This is a sundial townhouse. You get a deeper lot than the Mattamy stuff. 25 by 100 feet is actually a very respectable size for a townhouse. If your staircase is the very first thing you see, my advice would be is you've got to do them in hardwood. And they've got nice iron pickets here, but I think the whole effect is kind of ruined by having the carpet there. it's your impression piece. And so especially if it's the first thing you see, it's got to be the hardwood. There's no doubt about that. It's a very open concept layout. I would have switched. I think that these two lights are really important, particularly this one here. So this might be a good workstation light for being in the kitchen, but it's not an impression light. And when you look at the kitchen, arguably being the most important room in the house, I think you have to, if the opportunity's there, do a little bit better. Anyway, there's another example of a kitchen with mismatched appliances, and I'm going to talk about that right now. Okay, so Hampshire Way, semi-detached. It's around 2,000 square feet. It's actually a pretty decent layout. Now, we saw Woodward, January 2nd possession. This one here is November 28th. So when they give you that date, there's a good chance that they know what their next step is. Actually, kind of like the pot lights here. I think with the amount of work that they put into this home, having a white stove is functional. But I would have certainly matched this up because you've got even a stainless steel hood fan. You've got a stainless steel fridge. Potentially the dishwasher is still white. Yeah, these two here, for what the investment is to do that. And I know not everyone's in a position to change appliances, either because of time or money, like I said earlier. But having them in here is always a good investment because, like we just talked about, the kitchen is the most important room of the house. So anyway, you've got a lot of space upstairs. It feels nice and big, plus the finished basement. And there's not many semis that I give the green light to past 600. This one is one of them. And if you need to do the appliances yourself, not a big deal. Now, the thing I caution people on this floor plan here, this is on Bison Circle 730. The home is maybe 1,800 square feet. When you look at the pictures, it's impressive. It's a nice floor plan. It's nice and open. This family room is not particularly big, and it's really the only living space you have on the main floor. So you have your kitchen with the eat-in plus your family room. That's it. And then you've got a laundry on the main floor, loft upstairs, plus 3 bedrooms. Upstairs, great layout, great design. But if this is one of those ones that you can get impressed with, but if you actually think about how you're going to use the home, it changes the whole game. Now, the basement down here looks like it's a little bit, I don't know, it looks a little bit kind of like they didn't splurge on the finishes, but it is finished, and if it's done half decent, then it is worth, probably on a home like this, between $15,000 and $20,000. And then you've got your corner lot, and then you can see some of the hydro poles here, meaning that you're close to probably James Snow. I think the price isn't bad on this one, though, for everything you get. But you just got to really think about these homes as like, how am I going to live in them? And I had clients that were brought in, they saw this layout, not this home, but they saw this layout and they thought, oh, this is amazing. And I said, guys, really think about how you're going to use this space. And after talking about it, it turned out to not be a good fit, even though visually speaking, it was very impressive. Good, so that's our list for today. If you have any questions, reach out to us. And if you're looking at either getting your home ready, get this book. There's lots of books that we offer, lots of advice and things to either do it yourself or to do with help. And then also, if you're looking for a good investment property and someone who's actually going to tell you the truth, then reach out to us. We'll take good care of you. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.